we have gone through an age um, of growing up from Stone Age, and our ancestors, they hunted and all that. They were living in forests. So immunity community or community immunity, this concept is rather known to us because we know that people who were exposed to COVID, for example, there were people said, I'm not going to take any vaccine. Why? Because I'll develop a community immunity. People will have community, will have exposure to the virus, and small amount of viruses, they build up, and you know the process of hormesis. We'll talk more about that hormesis. That's the process where people get immune to it. Now, this is about caring for a pet. This whole process is having a pet, or people always wonder about having a pet, or walking in the nature, walking in the woods. Exposure to nature, exposure to pets always exposes us. Now we'll be afraid of dogs, cats, we don't want this, I don't like this, etc., etc. And whenever we go on a walk, me and my wife, we go together, let's say, she's petting all the dog walkers. Everybody dogs walking. She knows names of the dogs. She's friendly with the dogs. She does not know the owners, but she knows the dogs. The point of this is that when you get exposed to microorganisms all over the place, and that is when you really have, exposure, a little bit exposure to your immune system. The immune system starts learning over a period of time. When we grow up, all of us grew up playing in dirt, all of us grew up in India. They grew up in such a way, maybe in the farm, maybe anywhere. This added the immunity for ourselves. When we went to India, for example, the first time, my brother-in-law, who is very funny, he said the first thing, he's a gastroenterologist, and he said the first thing that he went out is go out on the street and eat pani puri. First thing in the street, street food immediately. Said, what happens? Don't you have any sickness? No, you get exposed to it quicker and you start getting used to it. Now, we're not advising that, but what I'm trying to say is that this exposure, small amount of exposure, is preventing us from getting bigger infections. In fact, autoimmunity is related to the fact that people who have developed autoimmunity have not been exposed to a lot. There's some studies that I read. This is a study I was going to go more details about allergy, and I'm going to go, read it and then relate to you. So exposure, this autoimmune part was very fascinating to me. And there's a couple of studies on that. Lack of exposure into nature and animals, both. And interestingly, the mental level also important, caring for the pet or caring for the nature. You always get in a little bit different mood when you when you grow a garden. Almost all of you do the gardening and flower and all that, so you know what we're talking about here. And that improves the environment and also environment internally. And lowering the stress, and you're obviously more active petting. Now, one of the things that I learned, and I just want to share with you here, this is a side comment, is that if you own a cat or a dog, or you're scared of a cat or a dog, one of the tricks to know is that they all have chakras. Dogs have 8 chakras. Cats, I think they have 7, or maybe the 8th one also. But dogs have 8. And the 8th chakra is located right in the center between the head and the nape of the neck. It's almost like a collar, if you were to think about a collar. When you start petting a dog, start petting on the chakras. You'll be surprised. And particularly when we do our little head petting, you'll be surprised how docile and how lovely the dogs will become. They're very easy to really control them when they're, of course, you don't go there if they're barking actively at you, but this is something that you will notice it. The cats is easier, but dogs it is. So this is something that you learn. So exposure to pets in nature and exposure to a small amount of microbial, viral, etc., is recommended in a way in some situations. So be careful. If you already suffer with immune problems, then be careful. But otherwise, it always builds immunity. Thank you.